Hello everyone. My name is Dr. Neha, and I'm one of the pediatric registrars working in Wales. I have been associated with Soft Landing for a little while, and that's given me a big platform to kind of address all my worries as an IMG as well. So, I'm going to cover the topic of safeguarding today, which is very close to my heart, and I would like to thank Bijan and Nadia for the slides, and especially Nadia for the mentorship as well. What are we going to cover today? We're going to cover the types of child abuse. How do you recognize child abuse? What is expected from us as registrars out of hours? And how to approach a child protection assessment. So, the most important thing is vigilance. So, anytime we see a child in the pediatric assessment unit or in the ward, and we examine the child from head to toe for any condition, be it presenting for bronchiolitis or DNV, we must make sure that we examine from head to toe and make sure that we look at the skin to look for any unexplained marks, any bruises that may not be in keeping with the history. Always remember that when you're on your shift, you're not alone. So communicate well with your team that is present on site, be it the senior sisters on call or the or your consultant, especially. I come from India, where a physical punishment for a child can mean something different from the UK. And I'm sure on this platform there are many IMGs who would also be coming from different parts of the world who would be in the similar situation. But we must familiarize ourselves with the corporal laws of UK, where Section 58 clearly states that any kind of physical abuse on the child is not permitted. This slide basically tells you the exponential increase of the children who are being put on the child protection register. You can see that from the year 2024 to 2020, there has been an exponential rise, especially in England and in Wales, which is a matter of worry. So, what types of abuse should we look out for? Physical abuse and sexual abuse are something that we are well aware of and well versed with. But there are other types of abuse as well for which we need to have a keen eye to look out for. One could be emotional abuse and neglect. When you examine a child, if you look at the demeanor of the child, if you see the way the child interacts with the parents, the kind of clothes the child is wearing, if the dentition is clean, if the nails are clean, so those things will give you a clue of whether there is a possibility of a neglect or not. Online abuse is on the rise these days with a lot of social media presence and teenagers and young people who are chatting on social media. So we must be careful of that. What is grooming? Grooming is basically a person who is either known to the a young person or not, or a stranger who kind of makes a friendly gesture towards the young person and tries to lure them by attaining their trust and then proceeding to abuse after that. So, more than physical abuse and sexual abuse, there are different types of abuse which we must be well versed with and we must look out for. What are the red flag signs that you must look out for when you do a head to toe examination? So, any bruise in a non mobile child is always a matter of concern. Multiple bruises that are in clusters, if the bruises are away from the bony prominences, they're on the softish areas of the body like the cheeks or the inside of the buccal mucosa, those are worrying. Any imprints of the hands, or you can get some buccal imprints, those are very concerning. Bearing this in mind, there can be some mimics of these kind of bruises, such as birthmarks in children or Mongolian spots, especially in Asian babies, which or hemangiomas, which must be looked out for and must be ruled out in any unexplained bruise that comes for a child protection medical. So, looking at fractures, any fracture in a non mobile child is always worrying. Multiple fractures, spiral fractures, rib fractures, and skull fractures must always be looked out for. Having said that, we must always keep in mind osteogenesis imperfecta can be one of the conditions that can give rise to recurrent fractures in a young child, and that must be ruled out as well while doing any child protection medical. So then you have burns. What are the red flags when you see a child presenting with burns? Is a glove and stocking kind of an appearance, a clear with clearly demarcated edges, if they are bilateral and symmetrical, and if they occur on certain sides of the body like back of the hand, lower back, or buttocks. That should be a red flag and a cause of concern. So let's take a case and see where how to deal with it. So you're a registrar in a district general hospital on a night shift. You see Mia, who's a 6-month-old child who's come in for mild bronchiolitis. She has some mild increased work of breathing, but largely she's stable. On examination, you notice that she has a bruise on her right cheek. During your communication with the family, the mother is threatening to leave and is quite angry and is accusing you and she thinks that you're accusing her of hurting her child. So, as a registrar in a district general hospital at 3 a.m., what would you do? Always remember that medical management first. We must make sure that the child is stable, there's no bleeding from anywhere else, and the child is medically stable from the bronchiolitis point of view as well. Second thing to remember is that in such a situation, we are never alone. The nurses are quite experienced, and the senior nurses on the ward are very helpful in this situation. They will immediately put in a MAF form, which is a multi-agency referral form, which get the and that goes gets flagged up to the duty response social worker, who will then arrange an emergency strategy meeting and then proceed to initiation of the child protection medical. So always involve the nurses on your shift, involve the nurse in charge on your shift, and always for any child protection medical, if you are suspecting a child with abuse, always call your consultant even though it's 3 a.m. in the morning. There are many resources on the RCPCH portal which are very helpful, and I've put up one such resource which can be particularly helpful, especially in the night. So, like I was talking about earlier, the laws in UK are very strict, and there are two sections which you'll generally hear on the ward, the nurses saying on the ward. So, Section 46 is generally when the police can remove the children to a place of safety for around 72 hours. They don't need any court order for that. You'll hear the nurses saying Section 47. Section 47 is basically imposes the local authorities to invest and the social services to investigate the family and take further actions to initiate a child protection medical if they feel that the child is going to come to any significant harm. So, while approaching any family for a child protection medical, we must remember that the approach has to be family centric and child centric. So we must approach them with empathy, respect, and non judgment. Because, like I explained earlier, it could be we have to rule out medical conditions as well, such as osteogenesis imperfecta, any other mimics of bruises like your hemangiomas, your birthmarks, and other things that can be similar to the same situation. Always break the ice by introducing yourself and your team and make the child comfortable. This is a very daunting process for the child. So, as far as possible, make sure you use the play team to distract the child because examination can be quite intimidating for them. Explain to the young person the process in which you're going to examine them and what you're going to do and what they can expect. And always take consent before any examination. So, before you start the examination, you must make sure that you take consent from the person who has the parental responsibility. Now, what does parental responsibility mean? So, any mother automatically has parental responsibility from birth. But the law in UK says that if the parents are unmarried, then you must check if the father is on the on the birth certificate, or if he has parental responsibility for the child or not. So this you can always check with the social worker, you can check with the nurses, or you can ask your consultant, because they always have information before the child comes in. About for looked after children. So any looked after child, generally the council always shares a care order along with the person, along with the parent who's looking after. So which simply means that council can also take some decisions in for the child's important decisions for the child's upbringing. Hence, in all these situations, always check with the social services, like I explained, and check with your consultant to see who has parental responsibility before you initiate a child protection medical. Always make sure that you have a witness with you and the social services are present when you proceed to do a child protection assessment. So, like I explained earlier, it's quite a daunting process. So, while go through the after taking the consent and making sure you have a witness in the room, you must take a thorough history and do a detailed examination. The documentation in the proforma, which every trust has their own proforma, has to be done in the child's own words or the parent's own words. For example, if mom says that the father, for example, the father hit the, I saw the father hit the child. So you must write in brackets there, I saw the father, mother says, I saw the father hit the child. So in their own words, you must document it. Body map is very important, which will give us a visual of where the marks are, and how what is the size of the marks and the exact location. Always give your bleep to somebody else, because this is a long process. You may need to make sure that you concentrate 100%. Always take a tape measure to measure the size of the bruises, to measure the growth centiles, and plot it on the growth chart. We always must remember that as registrars, we must do the child protection under the supervision of a consultant, which means that even if I am very experienced in doing child protections, I still need to run the plan past my consultant, make sure my consultant is happy, and make sure that he reads the report as well. While talking to a young person, head's assessment is a very good tool. So basically, exploring their home situation, who they live with, what their relationship is with the parents, what year are they in school, do they have friends, any bullying in school, any history of drugs, alcohol, or cigarettes, any history of self harm in the past. Social media, as I said, that online bullying is very rampant these days, so we must ask. And any history of suicide or depression. So, sexual assault. So, generally, sexual assault is dealt by specialist centers. But what are the red flag signs in which we as registrars should be concerned? So, any pregnancy which is under 13 years of age, any unexplained vaginal or rectal bleed in a male or a female, any STIs that you come across, foreign body in the vagina, or any vulvovaginitis in a young person always has to be a big red flag to escalate the situation further. So the child abuse investigation team is very helpful. Like I said, talk to the senior clinician, talk to the social services, talk to the nurses, and always involve the police. Um, as we always do, medical management first. Make sure that if the child is bleeding, you're taking care of the bleeding. If the child needs any emergency contraception, any post exposure prophylaxis. Always make sure that if there is a non disclosure or there is a disclosure of sexual assault, always make sure that you have a fellow nurse with you before you go in, and you run it past your consultant. And because every trust have their own pathway to follow where sexual assault is concerned. So always check with your team first. So the outcome would be either the child would be admitted to the ward for a workup you uh, if you are concerned enough not to send the child home, or there would be a place of safety that would be arranged by the social services, or the child would go home with the parent. So, depending on your assessment, the outcome would vary from case to case. What is the workup that we generally do? In any child who's under one, we do a CT scan to make sure there's no internal bleed. We do two skeletal surveys to make sure that we are not looking at any condition which is known as osteogenesis imperfecta, like I explained. We do bloods like full blood count, coagulation, vitamin D, bone profile. This is to make sure that we are not we are ruling out any coagulation disorders or any low vitamin D that can give rise to the fractures. Always attend strategy meetings along with your consultant. It's very, very useful. And a CP medical report always has to be checked by and signed by your consultant. So this is a very nice poem which Nadia actually shared with me. This is written by the pediatricians all across the country. So basically, this tells us how much a pediatrician loves their job and how much they would, and to what extent they would go to protect the children that they are looking after. So I've posted the link at the end, so you can go through the link. You can go through the poem at your own leisure. So I have posted some references. The RCPCH has very, very useful resources which you can go through. Havens is a London-based child sexual abuse helpline, but every area and every trust would have their own. So in Wales, we have something known as SARC, which has their own pathway and their own protocol as well. So make sure that you familiarize yourself with your trust pathway. And last but not the least, I put the YouTube link for the poem, and you're more than welcome to go and watch it. So, thank you so much. And the most important thing is we must have a level 3 safeguarding competency, which is there are lots of courses on RCPCH. Your own trust would do courses as well. So, to do any child protection medical, we must make sure that we are qualified and trained, for which we must undergo the level 3 safeguarding training. So, you can ask your trust, you can ask your educational supervisor of how you can get this competency, or RCPCH has courses as well. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.